Do you see this woman? Her name's Mei, and she's a grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer. She's also a PDF file. Yeah, your favorite money-hungry, sultry character in Jujutsu Kaisen once tried seducing her own kid brother, only stopping because she got interrupted by a phone call. But we don't talk about that for some reason. The thing is though, in the world of Jujutsu, she's just one of many fucked up people that makes up the fucked up world of Jujutsu Kaisen. And this is made extremely clear the very day a sorcerer is born. That's because in this world, they value strength above all else. So from the moment you pop out and open your eyes, you're getting judged and power scaled by everyone around you. Especially if you're born in one of the 3 great clans, like the Kamos, the Gojos, and the Zenins. There are also obscure clans like the Inumakis that can literally speak anything into existence pretty much. You'd assume they'd eventually play a pretty big role in the show, because that power's pretty freaking broken. But unfortunately, the writer of the series stopped caring or just straight up forgot about them after a while, so they don't matter in this equation. He tends to do that sometimes. All 3 of these clans have been battling for supremacy for hundreds of years, and nothing is used more to do the equivalent of comparing sorcerer dick sizes than possessing strong curse techniques. Curse techniques are unique abilities engraved into a user's body. They manifest around the age of 4 or 5 and comprise about 80% of a sorcerer's intrinsic skill. So if you're born with a curse technique that lets you do something lame like, I don't know, shoot berries out of your mouth, you're pretty much fucked for the rest of your life. And to super toxic families like the Zenin clan, that means your existence is gonna be a living nightmare, because they will bully your ass for your entire life, since they see you as useless in their pursuit of becoming the dominant clan. Take Toji Zenin for example. He's someone that was born with a heavenly restriction. These are restrictions placed on someone at birth that affects their cursed energy in exchange for some other type of enhancement. You give something up, then you get something in return. That's pretty much how it works. In Toji's case, he was given 0 cursed energy right from birth, and in exchange, he essentially became Popeye, a straight up superhuman. Being able to move at subsonic speeds and have unmatched perception sounds like a pretty sweet deal, right? Nah man, not for the Zenin clan. Having no cursed energy meant he had no curse technique. In other words, minus 1000 aura. In less stupid terms, no technique means no status within the clan whatsoever. Because of this, Toji was abused and harassed his entire life. One time, he was even thrown in a pit of cursed spirits and left for dead, while he was still just a kid. Oh, and those weird looking monster things I called cursed spirits just now, they're essentially the manifestation of all the collective fears and negative emotions of all humans. Simply being afraid of something in this world runs the risk of creating a real monster to be actually scared of. So, in other words, all those times you and your friends were calling each other gooners in your Discord chat likely spawned a gooner curse somewhere out there in the world. Hey, maybe it was one of the curses that jumped Toji in that pit, where he barely made it out alive. No wonder he bounced out of there the first chance he could, and decided to be a sorcerer hunter for hire. But at least his restriction gave him the strength to beat the piss out of anyone that messed with him. He could have been born with a restriction that makes it excruciatingly painful to do so much as fart, like in the case of Kokichi Muta, aka Mekamaru. He was born with a restriction that essentially turned him into that one con man guy from the SpongeBob episode where they were selling chocolates from door to door. He also was pretty much born with glass bones and paper skin. He was missing an arm and bottom half to his legs, had bandages all over his body, and needed to sit in a fluid-filled tub inside this dimly lit room, as even the slightest bit of moonlight would have roasted his skin quicker than a redhead in the middle of August. In his own words, it felt like every one of his pores were being stabbed constantly. Like at that point, why? Well, in exchange, he was able to control an army of mechanical puppets from a range that could cover the entirety of Japan, and had access to a massive pool of cursed energy and all that cool stuff. So much cursed energy, in fact, that he was able to control a massive Gundam that shot loads of pure cursed energy. Even this, though, didn't stop him from getting cucked by the plot of the story. See, Mekamaru is a dirty little traitor. He was feeding information to the bad guys, specifically a sentient curse named Mahito, and a 1,000-year-old sorcerer that's essentially Hector con Carne. They both kinda operate the same way. Mechamaru was feeding them information to help them carry out their uber evil plans. In exchange, Mahito would heal his body completely using his curse technique. Sneaky and conniving? Yes, but honestly, can you blame the guy? Either way though, he planned on betraying them the second he got healed. And that's exactly what he did. Too bad for him, he was suffering from a little main character syndrome, and forgot that the author's willing to kill anyone at any time. And that's exactly what he did. Mechamaru sadly went out thinking, hey, this is a shonen anime, right? The good guys always find a way, no? Well, the first part of that is accurate. Other than that though, this show makes your favorite character on purpose, just so the author Gege can tear them away from you. Take this guy for example. His name's Nanami. He's a cool guy. Kind of an uptight, stick-in-the-mud type, but overall he's pretty based. He lost his close friend on a curse hunting mission as a teenager, which made him think twice about spending his life fighting trippy-ass looking monsters for essentially free. So he leaves it all behind for a regular desk job. But eventually he ends up being pulled back in for the sake of keeping the world safe for us regular folks. Again, very based man. Also Nobara, one of the main character Yuji's close friends. She's got a strong personality, not your typical damsel in distress type. You know, girl power and stuff. You don't really see that much in anime. So hey, that's a breath of fresh air. I hope Gege gives her some nice character development. Nanami too. The guy's been through a lot, so I can't wait to see him finally go on a little vacation for once. Yeah, that sounds cool, right? Think again, buddy. See, there's this incident in the story that happens in Shibuya on Halloween. Let's just call it the Shibuya incident, where Hector, Mahito, and some other super strong curses devise a plan to cause as much chaos as possible, using the massive crowd of people out and about in their Halloween costumes for a killing spree. They slice up people left and right in hopes of luring in the biggest Chad in anime, aka Satoru Gojo. They want to do this because they have this fleshy Rubik's Cube looking thing that can somehow seal him, which would eliminate their biggest threat and tip the power scale in their favor. And hey, nice job guys, it works. Gojo is so busy nah-eyed winning all over the curses that he gets caught in the Rubik's realm and is officially trapped. That's when shit really hits the fan. First, Nanami has to fight Cthulhu and gets half his body chewed up by invisible piranhas, but narrowly escapes, thanks to the zombie version of that Toji guy I mentioned earlier. But immediately after that, he has the other half of his body completely toasted like a s'more by one of the other powerful curses, Captain Magma, aka Jogo. Crazy enough though, he survives and starts moving on autopilot until he runs into Mahito, only to be blown up right in front of Yuji. Yuji obviously doesn't think that was very chill, so he tries getting his revenge, but that only brings him another massive L. Nobara joins the fight and tries having her shining moment, only to be greeted with the biggest death flag possible in any anime, an emotional backstory scene. It's pretty much GG's once you see that. Sure enough, immediately after this, Mahito touches her face and blows up half of it. It's kind of left up in the air whether she actually died or not, because, you know, suspense and all that, but don't get hopeful. Bad things usually happen when you do that here. Needless to say, Yuji is looking to settle the score, so he and Mahito have a final battle. Yuji throws a couple punchies, Mahito throws some back, Yuji throws some harder punchies, etc. You've probably watched anime before, you know how this goes. Until Yuji finally comes out on top, ready to finally finish off that little bastard. Here we go, he finally gets his comeuppance. This is gonna be so satisfying. Wrong again. In that moment, Hector barges in like the James Bond villain he is, and reveals this was somehow all part of his plan. Apparently, he needed Yuji to push Mahito hard enough so his curse technique could evolve to its peak. Why, you may ask? Hey, shut up, I'm getting to it. He absorbs Mahito and uses his technique to activate a death game where sorcerers are forced to fight to, you know, the death. Something tells me that guy with the mouthberries technique from earlier isn't gonna last very long in this one. Worst of all, you couldn't unseal Gojo and the bad guys end up winning. The good guys have to go home with their tail between their legs, and the world is in chaos with the millions of curses that are running rampant as a result of this whole hoopla. Moral of the story, there is none. The good guys lose, Galaxy Brain Hector has his cake, eats it too, and then pulls his pants down to take a dump on the rest of the cake. And you didn't get the happy ending you wanted. Why? Because fuck you. This is Jujutsu Kaisen, that's why.